It's Halloween, so let's have a horror story. This particular horror story is told in a letter written about 110 AD. It's a letter written by Pliny the Younger, who was the governor of the Roman province of Bithynia and Pontus, which stretched along the north coast of what is now Turkey on the Black Sea. The letter was written to the Emperor Trajan, and in it, Pliny is asking the emperor for direction in the matter of persecuting Christians. Now, Trajan, by the way, is known to history as one of the 5 good emperors. So apparently, persecuting Christians doesn't take you off the list of good emperors. Anyway, Pliny doesn't know what's really wrong about being a Christian. He just knows it's crime, and he'd like to understand it more clearly. But like all imperial bureaucrats, he understands one thing very clearly. If he asks you 3 times to renounce Jesus, and you persist in refusing to renounce Jesus, then he's going to execute you, simply because you have stubbornly refused to do what you're told. He doesn't know what's wrong with Jesus, but, I'm asking you 3 times, I'm the governor, you say no, you die. His attempts to understand exactly what Christianity is about and what's wrong with it had been frustrated because the people he'd been questioning were, like the Apostle Paul, citizens of Rome. They could not be put to torture without due process of law. But he is finally able to report that he has found 2 Christians that he can torture because they are maidservants, that is, they are slaves. They were called deaconesses, he tells the emperor, and so they were tortured. Pliny advised the emperor that all he found out about Christianity by torturing these 2 women and getting them to tell everything they knew was that Christianity was merely a debased and boundless superstition. This from people who believed that there were 25 gods or something. Anyway, now I tell this tale of Roman terror to make a point. This did occur in 110 AD, 77 years after the resurrection, and only 3 decades after the death of Paul. The Christians of Bithynia and Pontus knew from people who had known Paul and known other apostles who had known Jesus personally. They knew what Christianity was in its pure form at the earliest stages of the early church. And knowing that, they had made deaconesses leaders in their church out of slaves who were women already in 110 AD. One of the many attacks on our church and faith claims that we are too male or too white or too something else. Well, that's not true. As somebody once said of Marx, he mistakes the abuse for the essence. The history of our church is not what those who dislike it accuse it of being. Our church is frequently accused of being out of step with some modern movement, as if that were an indictment of Jesus and of our faith in him. Many Christians too easily concede that these accusations are true without actually finding out what the truth is in the history of our church and of our faith. We are given to self-criticism. We believe we are sinners, so it's pretty easy to persuade us we've done something wrong. Sometimes it's too easy. As we sit here today in comfort in China and the Mideast and Africa, Christians are dying for their faith. And if they can die for it, the least we can do is stand up for it. And stand up for it means find out the truth and speak the truth about our faith and our church. As Rabbi Joseph Soloveitchik said, people will always try to cast aspersions on those who act for the sake of heaven. And we should not be bothered by such accusations. But we not only stand up for our Lord, we bow to him and we bow for him in prayer. And so now please join me in bowing and praying the prayer that he taught us way back there in the days of the Roman Empire. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen.